You ever had someone come into your life like a storm? Loud, destructive, and impossible to ignore? That's exactly what happened the day Karen tried to ruin me. She didn't just call the police on me for something I didn't do. No, she went further. She tried to dig into my life, twist the truth, and make sure I was branded as a problem in my own neighborhood. What she didn't realize was that the very ground she walked on, the roof over her head, and the keys she jingled in her pocket all traced back to me, because I owned her house. It all started on a calm Saturday morning. I was out front, trimming the hedges, minding my own business, when I noticed her staring. Karen lived 2 doors down, and from the day she moved in, she carried herself like she was queen of the block. She had that sharp, judgmental gaze, the kind that made you feel like you were trespassing even when you were standing on your own lawn. "Excuse me," she snapped, marching toward me. "You can't just make noise whenever you feel like it. Some of us enjoy peace around here." I stared at her hedge of barking, dogs and blasting, wind chimes, and almost laughed at the hypocrisy, but I kept it polite. "It's 10 in the morning, Karen. I'm just doing yard work." "Won't take long." That should have been the end. But with Karen, nothing was ever that simple. By noon, I had 2 police officers at my door. She told them I was harassing her, trespassing on her property, and making threats. I stood there in shock, explaining I hadn't stepped a foot on her lawn, that all I'd been doing was trimming my hedges. The cops didn't buy her story, not entirely, but they gave me that warning look, the kind that says, "We'll be back if we get another call." And with Karen, I knew there would always be another call. She escalated quickly. Complaints about my car parked too close to her driveway. Claims that I was spying on her when I took out the trash. She even tried to talk to the HOA about fining me for violations that didn't exist. It was clear she wasn't just being difficult. She was trying to wreck my reputation. But here's the twist she didn't see coming. Karen was just a tenant. She didn't own that house. And the landlord she kept mailing checks to every month was me. Once I realized the weapon she was trying to use against me, I knew I had to turn the tables carefully. Karen thought she had the upper hand with her constant complaints, but she had no idea I was sitting in the landlord's chair, holding the deed to her home. Every time she called the police, every time she tried to smear my name with the HOA, she was unknowingly poking at the very person who could pull the rug out from under her. I didn't act right away. Instead, I let her dig her hole deeper. The next week, she called the police again, this time claiming I was blasting music late at night. When the officers showed up, I invited them inside, handed them a cup of coffee, and asked them to point out the stereo I supposedly owned. There wasn't one. My living room was quieter than a library. The cops left shaking their heads, embarrassed they'd been dragged out again. Karen wasn't just relentless. She was reckless. She screamed at me in the street, called me names in front of neighbors, even left nasty notes taped to my door. It would have been laughable if it wasn't so exhausting. And yet, through it all, I kept my cool, because I knew I had the ultimate trump card. Finally, after she tried to have me cited for unauthorized construction over a garden box in my backyard, I decided it was time. I drafted a formal notice, professional, polite, but firm. The letter informed her that due to repeated disturbances, harassment of neighbors, and abuse of emergency services, her lease would not be renewed. She had 30 days to vacate. I'll never forget the look on her face when she stormed over, waving the letter in her hand like it was some mistake. "You can't do this," she shouted. "I'll take this to court. I'll go to the landlord myself." I smiled, calm as ever, and said, "Karen, you're looking at him." Her jaw literally dropped. She stammered, her eyes darting back and forth, like she was trying to find a loophole written in the air. But there wasn't one. For months, she'd tried to paint me as the villain, and now she realized the roof over her head belonged to the very person she was waging war against. She tried to backpedal, suddenly all sweetness, begging me to reconsider. But it was too late. Actions have consequences. 30 days later, the moving truck pulled out of the driveway, and the block has been quieter ever since. Karen thought she could wreck my life. Instead, she ended up packing hers into boxes. If you enjoyed this wild Karen story, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing your stories, too. More drama is on the way, so don't miss it.